Shalom. Today I want to talk about a statement that was made recently in Texas in a school district about the Holocaust regarding an opposing view to the Holocaust. But first, remember, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. It really helps. Thank you. So, there was a statement that was made about presenting an opposing view in school if you teach the Holocaust. What would the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust say to the Texas educator who recently requested that if the Holocaust is to be taught in schools, an opposing view should also be presented? Why is it that one of the most horrific tragedies of the last 2,000 years has to be debated, minimized, or even called a hoax by some? I have to be honest with you, sometimes I get tired of defending the Holocaust again and again and again. But what is the alternative? If we let our guard down or allow for different views or possibly the greatest evil of all human history, we're just one generation away from its complete disappearance from the annals of world history. And I don't even want to think about that. May it never be. This all started recently in Texas when a school administrator, worried about the danger of the critical race theory, decided to include Holocaust studies in his attempt at bringing a more balanced educational experience. Okay, I get that. This was in response to House Bill 3979 in Texas. The complete text of that bill isn't very long, and it really has some merit regarding the, defending people against the critical race theory. Among other things, the bill explains, and I quote, "Teachers who choose to discuss current events or widely debated and currently controversial issues of public policy or social affairs shall, to the best of their ability, strive to explore such issues from diverse and contending perspective without giving deference to any one perspective." Close quote. Seriously? Well, see, applying that part of the bill to the Holocaust led to the recent statement made by the school administrator. He was looking at the bill and he said, well, we have to do it by the book, so to speak. So he made that statement, and I quote again, "Make sure that if you have a book on the Holocaust, that you have one that has another perspective." Close quote. Does it apply to the Holocaust? I don't think so. And this for several reasons, and I want to share some of those with you. Number one, the Holocaust is not a current event. Following the text of Bill 3979, the teaching of current events should always be done without bias or agenda and with an explanation of the opposing view. So is the Holocaust a current event? Well, seriously, think about it. The Holocaust took place during World War II, which ended in 1945. That's almost 77 years ago. 77 years have passed since the camps were liberated. The Holocaust has long been included in history books around the world because it is part of history. It is not a current event. Current events are studied within the realm of social studies or political science, but history is not a current event, and the Holocaust is really part of history. This shouldn't be even debated. Next, the Holocaust should not be a widely debated issue. The bill also states this, and I quote, "Widely debated and currently controversial issues should offer an opposing view." Okay, close quote. Frankly, the very fact that the Holocaust continues to be a hot topic should be very alarming. Holocaust denial continues to infect the otherwise undeniable facts of history. It is debated because some have fought hard trying to debunk it. It was when the camps were liberated that General Dwight Eisenhower expressed his grave concern about what he discovered. As he was in the camp, as General Patton himself was vomiting at the scene, General Eisenhower forced himself to look everywhere through the camp. And then he wrote to General George Marshall the following letter. Very, very important. And I quote, "The thing I saw beggared description. The visual evidence and the verbal testimony of starvation, cruelty, and bestiality were so overpowering as to leave me a bit sick. I made the visit deliberately in order to be in a position to give first-hand evidence of these things if ever in the future there develops a tendency to charge these allegations merely to propaganda." Close quote. Wow. That's a very powerful statement here. Sadly, General Eisenhower was right. He didn't know it. He was hoping it would come that day, but he was right, and it did not take very long for some to deny that the Holocaust ever happened. After all, how many people look the other way when trains pass through their villages made of cattle cars packed with Jews? How many Christians, quote unquote, sang louder in church to cover the whistle of those trains passing through? Was it a bad case of cognitive dissonance? Or was it simply for selfish reasons of one's survival? Possibly both in many cases. We have those who did not want to believe it was happening, and that included many Jewish people, some in my own family, at the onset of the Holocaust, until it was too late, which is too late to do anything. And then, of course, we have those who try and continue to try today to erase it from history. The next point is the Holocaust must be given deference. The bill goes on to say that teachers, and I quote the bill, shall to the best of their ability strive to explore such issues from diverse and contending perspective without giving deference to any one perspective. Close quote. Now, I can appreciate what the bill is trying to do. It's trying to be impartial in the teaching of facts, so it doesn't want to give teachers a chance to even appear as they are taking a side or taking a position. And that's what teachers should really not be taking position. It is true that the Holocaust was not the only genocide in history. I get that. But it was certainly the only organized, structured, and methodical attempt at the complete destruction of a people group, the Jewish people. Additionally, it was the only genocide of human history where the perpetrators went out of their way to retrieve the Jewish people who had escaped to other countries to become refugees. They would go and get them, put them back on trains, and bring them back to their death, to the camps, at a great cost to Germany, often believed by historians and scholars as one of the main reasons for Nazi Germany's defeat. For this reason, the Holocaust must be given deference. It is in a league of its own. Also, the Holocaust was pure evil. The horrors of the Holocaust against the Jews and other minorities, for a total of over 12 million innocent victims, have never been surpassed. The Holocaust was pure evil committed by evil people, and it should never be taught with alternate views in mind. The alternative to the Holocaust being evil is that it was not. And this should not be an option in a normal society. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that the Holocaust must remain in a league of its own for the rest of mankind's history. There are way too many recorded testimonies, artifacts, and written materials, and videos and audios for anyone to honestly defy the veracity of the event. Friends, there must be a hidden agenda behind it all. And I think the agenda comes from Satan and is meant to delegitimize and ostracize the global Jewish community as he continues his greater agenda that started centuries ago, which is basically the destruction of all Jews, which from a biblical perspective is something that has been going on since the first Jews came onto the scene. The Holocaust was perpetrated by people used by Satan to eliminate the Jews. That's the purpose. That's the goal. Somehow it was allowed by an all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-loving God for reasons that are beyond what we can understand or fully comprehend with our finite human minds. But friends, there is no alternative to telling it like it is unless one succumbs to the politically correct agenda. But that agenda is not based on factual truth. And the Holocaust is a factual part of history that cannot be denied, altered, or erased. Texas House Bill 3979 isn't bad. It's not a bad bill, but it should never apply to the Holocaust, lest we want to help those who deny it ever happened. Thank you, and shalom. Remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Until next time, be blessed.